Do you really want to hear my thoughts on this one? Because this is what's wrong with social media. So my team just sent me some viral TikTok videos about cholesterol. So I'm going to take a look at them and tell you what I think.
What if I told you that 75% of people who have heart attacks actually have normal cholesterol? Because the real enemy in heart disease isn't just cholesterol, but inflammation. Cholesterol in and of itself is not a bad thing. Our bodies need it. This helps us break down fat, strengthens our cell walls, and makes hormones. Our body really needs it. The problem begins when cholesterol teams up with inflammation. Think of your arteries like a pipe, and if there's a little nick in the pipe, cholesterol goes in to try to fill it in. The problem is when inflammation comes, it rusts over the cholesterol. It's called oxidizing. Think of it like browning an apple. This whole thing creates these dangerous plaques that everyone's worried about. So the point is, it's not enough to just look at the cholesterol numbers. You really have to address inflammation also. And to manage inflammation, you have to ensure proper sleep, regular movement, a healthy gut, and avoid bad habits like smoking. You can take supplements like red yeast rice, CoQ10, and omega-3s, but of course, don't take those instead of medication if you need the medication. Don't do anything silly.
All right. So there's actually some really important things that are said in that video, like inflammation being a important modifier of risk and important in terms of plaque buildup and atherosclerosis. I completely agree with that statement. Inflammation is really the root of a lot of the evils. And when we're talking about what leads to increased plaque buildup, you're right, it's not just the cholesterol. However, the plaques are typically made up of cholesterol. And so modifying your cholesterol and LDL particles decreases that inflammation. There are certain cholesterol medications like statins that have been proven to decrease inflammation, including high sensitivity CRP that is decreased by statin use. And so I think it's really important that we're not ignoring the cholesterol as one of the important and most modifiable risk factors when we're talking about atherosclerotic disease. But I completely agree. Inflammation is incredibly important and something that we should be talking about, addressing, analyzing. I don't typically recommend Chinese red yeast rice or coenzyme Q10 as standard supplements or things that need to be taken, more so because Chinese red yeast rice is very similar to a statin. And so if I want to put you on a statin, I want to put you on a good statin. I want to put you on one that has been proven to lower your LDL and also has been proven to decrease your risk of heart attack or stroke. So I will choose statin every day of the week over Chinese red yeast rice. And coenzyme Q10, the data really is 50-50. About 50% of patients, from a myalgia standpoint, there hasn't been a lot of good meta-analysis that say that it actually makes a huge difference in both myalgia scores and quality of life questionnaires. So not things I typically recommend, but at the same time, if you're cost conscious or living on a fixed income, it might not be the best option for you. But if you can't get us down on board, then maybe we'll consider it. So some really good points in this. And obviously all of the lifestyle modifications to lower inflammation is going to be a great thing, including gut health. All right, now let's look at one more.
Has your doctor told you that you need to lower your cholesterol because it puts you at a much higher risk of heart disease? Well, guys, you need to know the facts about this. First of all, cholesterol is nothing dangerous. Cholesterol is needed by the body. It's an antioxidant. It's actually used to repair substances. And secondly, cholesterol is very, very important when it comes to making hormones, especially LDL cholesterol. You know, we all think HDL is the better one and LDL is the bad one. Guys, there's no bad cholesterol except for the fact of what we do to cholesterol.
Do you really want to hear my thoughts on this one? Because this is what's wrong with social media. So my thoughts on this is that this is exactly what's wrong with false information and scaring patients and lying to patients about very well proven, documented risk factors. Cholesterol, yes, your body needs a certain degree of cholesterol. Of course, that's totally fine. However, people who naturally have low cholesterol live their entire lives. So, for example, people who don't have PCSK9, they don't make the protein PCSK9 in their body. They live their entire lives very healthy, brain function normal, no heart attacks, no strokes, with an LDL of 15. They have babies. They live an entire life with an LDL of 15. So that's the first thing is the natural history of having a low LDL is fine. It's not a problem. The second thing is there have been numbers of studies that have disproven the fact that you will all of a sudden get Alzheimer's or dementia, with too low of a cholesterol level. And the reason why I say that is because specifically Alzheimer's is actually the misfolding of specific proteins in the brain. And it's only diagnosed at autopsy, where dementia, there's a lot of different types of dementia. One of the most common types of dementia is vascular dementia. How does vascular dementia develop? Well, that's when there is buildup in plaque progression in the vasculature in the brain. And so if you're blocking those arteries, then you can also develop dementia. So we see a lot of patients with vascular dementia. And the last thing is people who are born or genetic familial hypercholesterolemia patients who have very, very high LDLs. They're the ones that have heart attacks in their 20s or even in their 30s. And so for someone to try to be out there telling people that cholesterol is not a risk factor when it is very clearly a risk factor, it boils my blood. And I think it's everything that's wrong with social media being able to let just anyone say whatever they want without actually knowing anything about medicine and actually treating people with heart disease on a daily basis. Overall, I digress. If you really want to know the facts, please feel free to check out my heart health guide, and I will drop the link below. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe, and here are some videos that you might be interested in watching next.